Many have expressed fears about the apparent return of the military. Many have talked about the concern of the international community. However, under the present circumstances, the survival of our beloved country is far above any other consideration. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must therefore solve our problems ourselves. We must lay a very solid foundation for the growth of true democracy. We should avoid any ad hoc or temporary solutions. The problems must be addressed firmly, objectively, decisively, and with all sincerity of purpose.
For 5 years, Sani Abacha ruled Nigeria with an iron fist, looting billions and crushing opposition. But the full extent of his regime's brutality and corruption remained hidden. He was a man who got things done no matter the cost. But behind the facade of discipline and control, Abacha was secretly amassing a fortune, looting Nigeria's treasury of billions of dollars. It is estimated that during his 5-year rule, Abacha stole over $4.3 billion, making him one of the most corrupt leaders in Nigerian history. But Abacha's regime was not just marked by corruption, from embezzlement of billions to the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa. It was also defined by brutality. He crushed opposition, executed critics, and tortured journalists. In this video, we will take you on a journey into the dark heart of Abacha's regime, exposing the shocking truths about his corruption, brutality, and legacy. From the streets of Lagos to the corridors of power in Abuja, we will show you how Abacha's rule devastated Nigeria and left a lasting impact on the country. In the ancient city of Kano, Nigeria, a young boy named Sani Abacha was born on September 20, 1943. His early life was marked by hardship and struggle, growing up in a modest home with his parents and siblings. Despite the challenges they faced, Abacha's parents encouraged his education, recognizing the importance of learning in breaking the cycle of poverty. Abacha attended the Nigerian Military Training College, Kaduna, where he began his military career. He was a bright and ambitious young man, determined to succeed in the military. Abacha's early military career was marked by rapid promotions and a reputation for bravery. He was involved in all the military coups in Nigeria since July 1966 during his military career. In 1966, when he was still a second lieutenant with the 3rd Battalion in Kaduna, he took part in the July 1966 Nigerian counter-coup from the conceptual stage. He served in the Nigerian Army during the Biafran War, where he distinguished himself as a skilled and fearless commander. The Biafran War was a brutal and devastating conflict that lasted from 1967 to 1970. Abacha played a key role in this war, leading troops in several battles and earning a reputation as a ruthless and efficient commander. Abacha's experience in the Biafran War shaped his military career and laid the foundation for his future rise to power. After the Biafran War, Abacha continued to rise through the ranks, becoming a brigadier general by the age of 40. He was known for his discipline and tactical brilliance, earning the respect of his peers and superiors. Abacha's rapid rise through the ranks was a testament to his ambition, intelligence, and ruthlessness. He was a man on a mission, determined to reach the top of Nigeria's military hierarchy. In 1983, Abacha played a key role in the coup that overthrew the democratically elected government of President Shehu Shagari. This coup launched Abacha's career as a major player in Nigerian politics. From this point on, Abacha's ambition and ruthlessness would drive him to the pinnacle of power in Nigeria. On December 31st, 1983, a group of military officers led by Major General Muhammadu Buhari staged a coup that overthrew the democratically elected government of President Shehu Shagari. Sani Abacha, then a brigadier general, played a key role in this coup, providing strategic support to Buhari's forces. The Buhari regime, which lasted from 1983 to 1985, was marked by a series of draconian policies, including the infamous War Against Indiscipline. Abacha, who served as the chief of army staff in Buhari's regime, was instrumental in enforcing these policies, which were designed to instill discipline and order in Nigeria. However, Abacha's loyalty to Buhari was short-lived. On August 27, 1985, Abacha participated in another coup, this time led by General Ibrahim Babangida, which overthrew the Buhari regime. Abacha's role in the coup marked a significant turning point in his career as he began to consolidate his power and influence within the military. Under Babangida's regime, Abacha continued to rise through the ranks, becoming the Chief of Defense Staff in 1990. Abacha's growing influence and power were not lost on Babangida, who began to see him as a potential threat. The stage was set for a showdown between the two men, with Abacha emerging victorious in the end. The military government of Ibrahim Babangida had a plan to transition Nigeria to civilian rule of democracy, and on June 12, 1993, a general election was held, with Chief MKO Abiola emerging victorious, but unfortunately, the result of the election was annulled by Ibrahim Babangida on grounds of election irregularities, and eventually Ibrahim Babangida handed over to a civilian government of Ernest Shonikan on August 26, 1993 as an interim head of state. On 17 November 1993, Sani Abacha orchestrated a coup d'etat which overthrew the interim national government of Ernest Shonikan, becoming the 10th head of state of Nigeria.
Consequently, the following decisions come into immediate effect. The interim national government is hereby dissolved. The national and state assemblies are also dissolved. The state executive councils are dissolved. The brigade commanders are to take over from the governors in their states until administrators are appointed. Where there are no brigade commanders, the commissioners of police in the states are to take over. All local governments stand dissolved. The directors of personnel are to take over the administration of the local governments until administrators are appointed. The National Electoral Commission is hereby dissolved. All former secretaries to federal ministries are to hand over to their director generals until ministers are appointed. The two political parties are hereby dissolved. All processions, political meetings, and associations of any type in any part of the country are hereby banned. Any consultative committee, by whatever name called, is hereby proscribed.
Abacha portrayed the overthrow as an act of stability brought about through the socio-political uncertainties caused by the 1993 presidential election. Sani Abacha's regime was marked by widespread human rights abuses and repression, from the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa to the imprisonment of opposition leaders and journalists. Abacha's government showed no mercy to those who dared to challenge its authority. In September 1994, he issued a decree that placed his government above the jurisdiction of the courts, effectively giving him absolute power. Another decree gave him the right to detain anyone for up to 3 months without trial. When Moshood Abiola, the supposed winner of the 1993 presidential elections, proclaimed himself as president, he was jailed for treason and subsequently died in custody. Also, former military ruler Olusegun Obasanjo was jailed for treason and accused of plotting a coup together with General Oladipo Diya. One of the most infamous incidents of human rights abuses during Abacha's regime was the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa, a prominent environmental activist and writer who opposed the exploitation of Nigerian resources by the Royal Dutch Shell in Ogoni in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. Ken Saro-Wiwa, along with 8 other Ogoni activists, were falsely accused of murder and sentenced to death by a military tribunal. Despite international outcry and protests, Abacha's government carried out the executions by hanging on November 10, 1995. The regime's repression was not limited to opposition leaders and journalists. Ordinary citizens were also subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, and torture. Abacha's regime was intolerant of free speech and assembly. Protests and demonstrations were violently suppressed, and activists were arrested and imprisoned. Abacha justified the repression by claiming that it was necessary to maintain national security and stability. When Sani Abacha seized power in 1993, he promised to restore stability and prosperity to Nigeria. But behind the scenes, Abacha and his cronies were busy looting the country's treasury. Estimates suggest that Abacha and his family stole over $4.3 billion during his 5-year rule. This money was meant to fund vital public services such as healthcare and education, but instead, it lined the pockets of Sani Abacha and his associates. Abacha's corruption was not just limited to himself and his family. He created a complex web of corruption that involved politicians, businessmen, and even international banks. Abacha used a network of shell companies and secret bank accounts to launder his stolen funds. He also bribed politicians and officials to turn a blind eye to his corruption. But Abacha's corruption was not just a Nigerian problem. International banks such as Citibank and Deutsche Bank played a significant role in helping Abacha launder his stolen funds. These banks ignored warning signs and failed to report suspicious transactions, allowing Abacha to steal billions of dollars. Sani Abacha's corruption and embezzlement had a profound impact on Nigeria, causing widespread suffering and undermining the country's development. But his legacy of corruption continues to harm Nigeria to this day. As Sani Abacha's regime continued to brutalize and exploit Nigeria, the international community began to take notice. Abacha's regime was condemned by world leaders who were horrified by the regime's human rights abuses, corruption, and repression. In response to Abacha's regime, the international community imposed economic sanctions on Nigeria, isolating the country from global economy. The sanctions had a devastating impact on Nigeria's economy, causing widespread poverty, unemployment, and suffering. But Abacha refused to back down, defiantly rejecting international criticism and pressure. Abacha claimed that the international community was interfering in Nigeria's internal affairs and that he was committed to maintaining national sovereignty. Abacha's regime was also isolated by regional and international organizations, including the Commonwealth and the Organization of African Unity (OAU). The Commonwealth suspended Nigeria's membership, while the OAU condemned Abacha's regime for its human rights abuses. Abacha's regime had become a pariah state shunned by the world. On June 8, 1998, Sani Abacha died suddenly and mysteriously at the presidential villa in Abuja. The official cause of death was reported as a heart attack, but many Nigerians believe that he was poisoned. Abacha's death marked the end of an era of brutal military rule in Nigeria. Nigerians rejoiced at the news of his death, hoping that it would mark a new beginning for their country, as he left a massive debt burden for the country. After Abacha's death, Nigeria began the long and difficult process of recovering from the devastating effects of his regime. The new government, led by President Olusegun Obasanjo, who was released from prison following the death of Abacha, launched a series of reforms aimed at restoring democracy, promoting economic growth, and combating corruption. Abacha's national security advisor, Alhaji Ismaila Gwarzo, was accused by the government of President Olusegun Obasanjo to have played a central role in the looting and transfer of money to overseas accounts. Abacha's son, Mohammed Abacha, was also involved. In 2002, rumors circulated that Abacha's family purportedly agreed to return $1.2 billion. And in 2004, a list of the 10 most self-enriching leaders in the previous 2 decades was released, in order of amount allegedly stolen. The 4th ranked of these leaders was Abacha and his family. On 7th August 2014, the United States Department of Justice announced the forfeiture of $480 million, the largest in its history, to the Nigerian government. And in 2018, Nigeria recovered $322 million from Switzerland, which was part of the money looted by Abacha. In addition to recovering the looted funds, the Nigerian government also sought to provide reparations and restitutions to the victims of Abacha's regime. This included providing financial compensation to the families of those who were killed or tortured, as well as supporting initiatives aimed at promoting human rights and the rule of law. Sani Abacha's regime was a dark period in Nigerian history, marked by corruption, brutality, and repression. But his legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of promoting transparency, accountability, and human rights. As we reflect on the lessons of Abacha's regime, we must also recognize the resilience and determination of the Nigerian people. We hope that this video has inspired you to learn more about Nigeria's history and the ongoing struggles of its people. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more informative and engaging content. We have a wide range of documentaries and videos exploring the complex history and politics of Nigeria. From the anti-colonial struggles of the 20th century to the contemporary challenges facing the country. Join the conversation by leaving a comment below and sharing your thoughts on the legacy of Sani Abacha and its ongoing impact on Nigeria. We would love to hear from you and explore more of the complex issues raised in this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch more of our videos. We'll see you in the next video.